look at it and we can talk about it.
All right. I'm going to mute everybody just for the recording, and I'm going to share my screen. And thank you guys so much for bearing with me. I'm going to try to go, let's see, Rochelle and Naomi and Amanda, I can see you guys. So if it goes horrible, just give me a little thumbs up, down, thumbs down. You know, we've done a lot of PD on forms both last spring and also last week. And I feel like we're kind of reached our saturation point. So I'm gonna go kind of quickly through this and get to the part of the presentation that introduces 2 tools that you might wanna be aware of. You're certainly not gonna be well, you might be assessing like reading levels and things like that, but I did just want you to know about these 2 different kind of apps to be aware of. And I'm going to be totally upfront from the start. I have not used them, and all I've done is watch the videos that I've shared with you about them. And so they're really going to require me to learn more about them too in order to do any sort of support for you. So I'm not ready in any way to offer support on these tools, but I do know that a lot of people have been asking, what if I have a math worksheet that I want to turn into a you know, question and answer kind of thing. And there's a lot of questions around that, like how am I going to digitize some stuff that's already created? So I did want to share some of that with you instead of reinventing the wheel with a form. So these are all the places you can get help. You know all that, but it's all there for you. Google Forms are great for a lot of different things. I know some teachers might even use it as an attendance, daily attendance kind of thing. Some people might use it as a how are you doing today? Like I dropped a form on the sample templates page that's like emojis. I did one for older and one for younger students. So you could even embed a daily just mental health check-in for your students or weekly. Those are on that sample template sharing library page where they could just click how they're doing and a little place for them to share with you anything like that. And it's all done through a form. Gathering responses about a book you read. I've used forms in the past for getting song requests for creating my class playlist. So if you just create a simple 1-question Google form, tell me your song recommendations and pop that on your Google Classroom or on your website. And then they can, you know, over and over send you song requests. Or in the spring, I had a Google form that just asked them, what are you doing in your spare time that you're finding fun? So that they could send those ideas my way and I could share them on the website with other students. So lots of ways to collect information from your students. I know a lot of people will probably use them for more kind of quick checks and assessments and things like that. So that, I don't know, I feel like if I were teaching students this year, I would rely on more frequent and shorter kind of assessments on checking their understanding of things personally instead of like giant end of unit tests, especially in things like math. So, so those are lots and lots of ways to create forms. This page, I know a lot of you have probably used forms before, at least to a certain degree, so I'm not going to go into too many details, but if you want, this slideshow is linked in the chat, and so you can go through. I dropped in video tutorials on how to just get started from the very basics. It lives in your little waffle area to choose a form, and you give it a title, and you start to customize your questions. You can do short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkboxes. It really depends on what type of data you're trying to grab, what type you would want them to answer. You can insert photos and videos, which is really cool. So you could even use a form to get a response from them on a video you want them to watch. So if you wanted to drop in a short video for them to watch and have them respond to it, then because you can turn your responses into a spreadsheet, you could even share that spreadsheet with your students and kind of look through the answers together and kind of use it as a jump off like springboard for a discussion, or even share that spreadsheet with your students and say, what are you noticing that's similar or different? You know, so there's a lot of things you can do. The adding videos and images feature. You could even ask questions very visually, right? So like this one is all, the answers all have a picture attached. This does say how to insert images, the video, but it also talks about video as well. So that they're kind of the same thing. And I know I'm going kind of quickly, and I'm really doing that because we want to kind of finish quickly. So, but I'm happy to hang out longer and talk more about any of these things with people that do want to stay. I didn't even realize this, that you can customize. So forms kind of defaults to purple, but if you want your forms to be different colors, you can change the theme and the color of your forms. And so that's kind of cool. And there's a video about customizing your form themes. The settings, when you go to your settings of your form, this is really important. Just like sharing privacy on a doc or a slideshow, you want to make sure that whoever you want to fill it out has access. So if this is a form that's going out to your families, you want to make sure you uncheck the restrict to Albany users. Before you share the link to your form, you're going to want to make sure you uncheck that. If you collect email addresses, it requires people to log in. And so, and if you limit it to one response, they have to log in with Google. So just be thinking about that when you're checking those. You know, obviously, if you're just sharing it on your Google Classroom or with your students, then leaving it to restricted to Albany users is fine. Again, depending on what type of survey, all under settings, you might want to allow them to edit it after they submit it, especially, well, there's also one somewhere in terms of if they can submit it over and over again, right? So like the requesting songs one, they could just keep using the same form over and over. So when you want to share it, you go to, so the settings is under this gear that's right here. That's what I just showed you a minute ago. And then when you want to share it, the two options, you can embed it, which I didn't even really include because I think it's not all that often that we're embedding things, because even if you have a website and you've made a form in your Drive, it's much easier to insert it from your Drive than embedding. And if you know what embedding is, then you probably don't need that's like, you know, probably don't need me to explain to you what embedding is because you know what embedding is, right? So you can either email it and put the people in here. The one thing that I don't like about this is that you can't BCC people when you use that email feature. So what I do is I get the link and I drop the link into an email that I've made from my Gmail. The only time I ever use this email part is like, let's say I'm emailing my form to a colleague or to one person in particular. Like let's say somebody says, I lost that form, and you know the one person you want to email it to, I might use this email feature. One thing that's nice about that is that you can embed the form directly into the email when you do it that way, but I usually just grab the link. So that's right here. And then you can shorten that URL, or you can copy the URL and then hot link it into an email. Like, here's your form, and make the word form the link to your form by doing that in an email. So a couple different ways. You can embed a form embedding from your Drive onto your website. So if you wanted to, let's say, use that song request form and you wanted it to show up on your website, you can pick it from Drive just like you would pick a Google slideshow or a document or whatever you wanted. You would just want to make sure your sharing settings, again, are set so that whoever you want to be answering it can answer it. You can turn your form into a quiz, and that's here under settings. You can make something a quiz. And then, you know, you can play around with these settings. I really didn't use forms as quizzes all that much. I tried it out a couple times in the spring, but I'll be totally honest that I, again, can't answer a ton of questions on turning forms into quizzes yet, but we can dive into this much more, you know, after a couple weeks or so. Maybe we could do a Wednesday PD if people would find that helpful, or I can create a video that offers a little more guidance on that. And the Google Help page, which I have at the very end here, has tons of videos already created and resources. So if you want to do this sooner, you can find information there. But you can create a correct answer. You can set it so that you can write feedback right there from within the quiz. You can assign point values to different things. And there's all kinds of things around making your forms a quiz. You can embed it directly onto Google Classroom, and there's actually a quiz assignment button, and so you can pick that, and then that helps you turn your form into a quiz through Google Classroom. So you can check that out as well. I want to say that like when I did it this way, when I tried it this way, I had already created a form in Drive, and then I went here to do this, and it like recreated it again. So I think if you want to do quiz assignment, you're kind of, I don't know exactly, but you might want to start from here on Google Classroom and go that route first and see what happens, instead of like having to do it twice, like doing it twice. So you might want to check that out. Let's see, you can give feedback. So you want to, there can be an answer key and a little place where you can add feedback. So that's again going to be under the settings thing. And so you can, I think, paste feedback in too. So if you have some saved, and again, I haven't tried this feature, but I think you can create some feedback and then post it in for students if you've pre-created the feedback. And again, I might be totally making that up, but that's kind of what I got from watching that video. So when you're in your responses, so here's our questions, right? Up here at the top, and right next to it is your responses. And I'm guessing a lot of us have used this before in some capacity, but your responses here can go directly to a spreadsheet. So when you click on this green and white plus in your responses, it'll automatically link a spreadsheet to the form that you've created. So those will be matched together. Whenever somebody fills out the form, that spreadsheet then will auto-populate with any new data that comes in. So if somebody adds a song later on and you want to go look at the spreadsheet instead of clicking through 45 responses in the form, you can go to the spreadsheet, which is saved as a related spreadsheet in your Drive that'll have the same name as your form. And then you can scroll down and look for the latest answers there, or you can sort your data there. One idea I gave, I think it was at the quick tips thing yesterday, was to have a Google form that's your parent communication log, so that you just have name of student, the date, who did you contact, what method did you use, and then any notes. And then if you turn that into a spreadsheet, you could sort by the student's name and then just see how many times have you emailed that one student's parents, and it would all be right there. And you could even cut and paste and share that with specialists or with your principal or whatever you wanted to do. So, so that spreadsheet feature is really helpful for managing your data and looking at your data. So these are the two things I wanted to tell you exist. And here's where I have to just be totally honest that like, I haven't had the time to learn about things outside of kind of the basics right now, but there's one that I found called Auto Magical. And what they say is that you can turn a PDF directly into a Google form. So, and I copied it from their website, so I didn't write this cheesy text over here about the unicorn. That came from the website. But you can change a PDF or a Google Doc or an image file into a form. And I haven't done it, but it looks really helpful and really cool. So I wanted to tell you about Auto Magical. And so I believe it is an add-on, an extension. So you would look for Auto Magical in the Chrome Web Store and add that on. And so that's one that I think when I'm all done, you know, you could take a couple minutes if you feel like it today, or you could bookmark this and just write yourself a note when you have a little time to breathe. Maybe you're not needing this in the next 2 weeks, and you can just kind of bookmark this in your mind to kind of check it out in the future. So that's one. It's called Auto Magical. And then the next one is called Go Formative. And that's another one where you can upload, same thing, a PDF, a document, a Google Doc. I haven't used either one personally, so I can't recommend one or the other. I've heard of Formative more often. It's, I think, a little bit more well-known. And so it says you can do all kinds of things, embed content from websites and things like that. So to me, this seems like a really valuable one within the first couple weeks of school to maybe highlight as something we talk about on a Wednesday and look into more when we have a little more time. It just didn't seem essential to be able to do that like for the first day of school. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to spend too much time on it here, but I wanted you to know it's out there. Because a few people have asked, how do I turn something I already have into a Google Doc or a Google form? And this is one way you could do that. So this is a link to the Google Forms resource page. It's really great. Google has really good tutorials on all kinds of things broken down by very specific topic. So if you click on that, it's going to bring you to all kinds of videos and tutorials and Q&A forums and things like that. And I think that might be, oh, there it is. It's going to take us there. So here's the Teacher Center, and it has, it broken down by, how to do the feedback, all kinds of linking your form to a sheet, all that kinds of stuff is here. So I know that was kind of quick, but I just wanted to do kind of the basics and then just really do Q&A from there on out. And then those of you that want to kind of hop off and maybe look at Formative or the other one, you're welcome to do that. But I can certainly, I'm going to stop sharing. And I think, oops. It allows you to unmute yourself. So there's only 30 of us. So if you want to just unmute and jump in with a question or an idea, or if you want to leave, I won't be offended, whatever you want to do now.
So Jen, I just went onto the little waffle to look for those two apps, the unicorn one, what was that called? Magical something. And also the Formative, but they all say that they're whitelisted for install by admin, and so we can't actually put it into our waffle yet.
Okay, so I will ask them, usually I think Eric's the one, and I'll just send him a note. So I'll send him the name of those two, and I'll ask him to unwhitelist them or whatever.
Maybe they can just...
It's a paid app though. I mean, you get 6 free, but then if you want the personal or whatever plan that is like an annual plan for whatever amount of pages to transfer to a form. So
okay.
It's not completely free.
Maybe they can put it into Clever for us?
Yeah, maybe. So Formative for sure, because I think Formative also has like pricing structure, but I think that you can do quite a bit with their basic structure. So it looked like when I looked at the comparison of the pricing. Yeah. Anything else about general forms or no?
There's a good question in the chat that says, can you show how to share a Google form that you have made with another teacher for their use in their classroom?
Sure. Yeah, totally. Thank you. So if let's say, okay, let me go to a form that I have, and I want to search by, do you guys, yeah?
Sorry, that was my question. And one thing, it's going to be really helpful for you to show us the steps. If it's possible for you to do a little video or whatever, or step by step, just to be able to go back.
Yeah.
It'd be helpful.
This is recorded, so you can watch this video. Yeah. And go to whatever minute we're at. I don't see there's no timer for me, but about 20 minutes in. And so,
I forgot that detail. Thanks.
Sure. So let's say, so this is the family communication log that I created, and I put this as a template that you could make your own copy of it. So I hate this little bar thing. Okay, so I made this, and this one belongs to me. And so you, with forms, what you'll want to do is, it's a little bit weird. It's a little different than just a doc, because what you'll want to do is you'll want to add a collaborator, even though you're not having people collaborate on this exact one. But I said that anyone in Albany could edit this one, but I'm not giving them this copy, right? So I did change it so that anyone in Albany can edit this form, but I'm never gonna give them this exact link. I'm gonna go to this URL up here, and I'm gonna go to the very end, and I showed this trick a few times in the last week. I'm gonna change the word edit at the end there, after the slash. Everyone saw that it said edit. I'm gonna change to the word copy, and then copy that. And then I'm gonna share that link that I just copied. So if I emailed you that link, and then you post it, put it in, it would force you to make your own copy of that form. Now this copy is yours. If you get data on it now, it's not going to go into my spreadsheet or my responses, because this is a copy that you made for yourself. So one more time, I'm just going to, there's 2 steps really for sharing a form and allowing someone else to use your form. First, you have to give them access as a collaborator, and then you have to change the last word at the end of your link to copy and share that copy with people. And then they're going to be able to create their own. I hope that made sense.
Jen,
Yeah.
if you just share it with someone as a view only, not as an editor, they can make a copy though, right?
They
And-
can make a copy, but so what happens for me a lot there is if you share it with them in view only, I get a lot of people then emailing me requesting access to my form, right? And if I use the force a copy,
Mhm.
it just like cuts off me getting 5 emails of people asking me to be able to edit my copy. Because you're gonna have some people that don't know to make their own copy. They think they're gonna get to go in and copy yours. So if you're really confident that your team or the people that you're sharing a view only copy with know what to do with that view only copy, if you know, oh, my team knows, if it's view only, they make a copy, that's great. You can just do that.
I'm pretty sure Rebecca knows.
But if you have a team that's like, why can't I get into this? You know, then they're going to email you and ask you to get into it. And the other just kind of, it's like holding their hand through that step.
Okay, I just have to get comfortable with that edit and the force a copy thing, because that's neat, and it's new to me.
Yeah, and it might not even be necessary with your team. I mean, again, it's just I tend to get a ton of people looking at my stuff and then wanting to access my copy of it. And even if I email them the link and say, okay, file, make a copy, you know, people don't read, you know, your stuff. And so then they're like, can I, you know, anyway.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey,
Yeah, Rochelle.
Jen, can I just double check those emails that you got asking to view? That was the people who were going to make a copy, because so like Naomi shared a questionnaire that she's sending out to her parents.
Yeah.
She said, here's what I'm sending out, make a copy so you can send it to your parents.
Right.
Now, if I make a copy, if I do that, you know, make a copy and rename it for my own, none of my parents are going to ask Naomi for permission.
Right.
Because I've made the copy.
Right.
Okay.
So
I just don't want to burden poor Naomi.
No. You've done on your end there what you needed to do.
Okay.
You made a copy and you now have your own version, and Naomi will never know you even made that copy, right? You just did what you had to do. Where the tricky part comes in is where people see view only and they're like, why can't I get into this? You know,
Gotcha.
And they ask for access. And you're like, I didn't give you access on purpose because this is my copy, you know, but it eliminates that conversation.
Gotcha.
And I have one question around that. If you've made a copy, do you also then have to go in and change the settings to make sure that your parents can then open it?
Yes.
Or do the settings stay the same as the person who shared it?
No, your new copy is a brand new, fresh copy. So a new copy is going to default to, this is yours only. And so your new copy, you'll have to set your permissions how you want it. It won't be how the other people had it.
Okay.
Good question. So I don't know if anyone, a couple people that that have tried Formative are dropping a couple ideas in here, and you know, if anyone's used it and wants to, you know, tell us a little bit more about it, that's awesome. I'm going to need to play around with it a little bit more before I can really participate.
Mhm.
But
I saw I think it was an 18-minute Go Formative video yesterday, and one little tip, I was like, 18 minutes, I put it on double
I was
speed.
going to say, how did you find 18 minutes?
No, I
yesterday?
didn't have it. And it was like, but it was actually pretty good to do that. One question I had though, I have it was like a grid that was a slideshow, and I just put a text box in, and I wanted to, and they were all a uniform size, and I wanted to just copy, you know, like write your answer here, but it seemed like I always had to move the text box or it kept doubling up. I couldn't put it. Am I missing a trick, or do you kind of have to do that? I was able to get the same size, so I was hitting, you know, copy, paste, but I couldn't just put it to that, you know, the next box.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know even when I copy a text box on a Google,
It
like
was on slide. Yeah.
yeah, even on a Google sheet, like, I mean, not sheet, on a Google slide, right? If I copy a text box and paste another one, it pastes it over itself,
Yeah.
and then I have to drag it over. So it might be a similar kind of.
That's exactly what I had. I didn't know if I didn't know how to do
No, I think that, yeah, you just have to drag it to the new spot.
it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, you guys. I think I'm going to stop recording.